see you later tonight.
Meek deals. Base hit to right field. Here comes Richardson. Here's the throw from Markakis. Richardson is safe. Derek Jeter ends his final game with a walk-off single.
1-1 for Tyson. Batista with a drive. Deep left field. No doubt about it.
Hey everybody, welcome to part 2 of episode number 21. I'm Blake Frage alongside Dylan Smith. Dylan, we'll open up part 2 with MLB and the MLBPA. The proposal that the MLB gave to the players, which was a 154 game proposal to push back the season a month for health and safety reasons. They would give expanded playoffs and universal DH. Instead, the players rejected that offer. They're going to play a whole 162 game season on time, on schedule, pitchers and catchers to report within the next couple of weeks. There's a lot of pros and cons to something like this. I know you were not too fond of the rejection. What was your thoughts?
Well, I understand the rejection. I understand why they're doing this. Okay, so let's break this down for people that don't understand.
Yeah.
Okay. MLB wants to push it back, and I think that the players would have been fine with that, but they threw in, hey, we want to do, since we're pushing it back and it's a shortened season by 8 games, we're going to do expanded playoffs and give you the universal DH. Okay? You have to understand as a fan that the universal DH is basically a negotiation chip for the MLB to say, hey, we want to give you more jobs. Okay? What happens is, to give you more jobs, we want expanded playoffs so we get more revenue and we make more money in the playoffs. But what happens is, if the players agree to expanded playoffs, that means that there's going to be middle of the pack teams such as the Royals, or low market teams, the Royals, the A's, the Rays, teams like that will say, we don't need to spend money to make the playoffs. We're still going to get that revenue money, and we don't even have to pay players $30 million, $20 million plus. Okay, so where the players stand are, we're going to give you this universal DH, we're going to give you expanded playoffs, and then we're not going to get paid in the long run because you're just going to find players to fill our spots because there's extra spots in the playoffs. We're going to make it anyway. We're not really trying to win the World Series. We just need to make the playoffs.
It's got to get in.
Yeah, to make the money. Okay. What I propose is, and I think this is what the CBA is, what's going to happen in the CBA. Right now, you need 6 years of service time. I think it'll get moved to 4, 2 years on a rookie deal, 2 years on arbitration. And what this means is that players are going to be hitting free agency sooner.
Quicker,
Yeah. So like a guy like Whit Merrifield, who barely came up at 26, 27 years old.
He'd be a free agent by 30 if they changed it.
If they change it, but he would have been a free agent by 32 years old. It's flawed for guys like that or late bloomers. A guy like Jared Walsh, who's already 26, 27, he came up with the Angels and just mashed the ball. We got him until he's like 34 years old.
Yeah.
So there's going to be, obviously there is minor league free agent, a system like that, and then the Rule 5 draft. Okay. But in the Rule 5 draft, you can unprotect players.
They have to be on your team for the whole year.
And to be honest, most of them don't get picked up. Okay, you're really gonna lose 1 or 2 players in the Rule 5 draft. It's not gonna be like you're losing your whole minor league system. You're losing all these prospects in the Rule 5. It's pretty much impossible because teams only get a certain amount of picks, and sometimes teams don't even pick. They just say no, we're just gonna pass the pick.
Well, because like the Rule 5, like I said, if you select a guy, he's got to spend the whole year on your major league roster.
Well, yes, but in the minor league portion, they would have to. If you're in Double-A, you have to be on Triple-A. If you're on Single-A, you have to be on Double. Yeah, so there's like a.
So if they drop to Triple-A, you got to spend the whole year in the majors.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Gotcha.
So I think with the CBA coming up this year, that service time is going to go down, which means that players are hitting free agency in their prime more often. So if you come up at 22, you're going to be a free agent by 26.
26. Well, and then a couple players.
So you can still get a 10-year contract.
Yep.
So
Yeah, a couple players that come to mind. I mean, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., the Blue Jays manipulated his service time, right? Chris
Yep.
Bryant with the Cubs, they manipulated his service time. So, I mean, it's happening. I think the CBA is going to put a stop to that. I think they're going to, like, it's a
Yep.
loophole
That's
in the
all. Yeah. The
CBA.
Rule 5, or not the Rule 5, the Super 2 rule
Super two.
is
That'll be
probably going to be
eliminated.
eliminated. Yeah.
100%. I think that it's a loophole. It's been in the CBA for a long time, and teams have taken advantage of it. But so do you think, like, do you still think that there could be expanded playoffs or universal DH? Like, even though they rejected the deal, do you think they can still negotiate that?
I believe they would have to agree to that. I don't think that Manfred and the MLB can just implement that because
Mhm.
it's against the CBA. So I think they would both have to agree.
Yeah.
Um, I don't I don't know about expanded playoffs, but I could see potential for a universal DH this season.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be too late by the time that Nelson Cruz and Marcell Ozuna and Edwin
They're
Encarnacion.
still waiting, right? I mean, they're gonna have to
Yeah,
make a decision quick.
I think that it's going to be a little too late for those guys. To be honest with you, I think that um, at this point you're planning for the AL only to have the DH.
So
But
what's
going forward, when the CBA comes up, I think if for some reason the pitchers do hit this year, that this will be the last year that pitchers ever hit in the
yeah.
MLB.
So what, like, let me just we'll jump ahead here quick. What does the market look like? I mean, we saw Nelson Cruz picked up talks again with the Twins. Like, what does the market look like for Ozuna right now? With not really a universal DH on the horizon.
Yeah, I mean, don't be surprised if a team like the Jays get him. I mean, to be honest, I can totally see them adding that bat and making that lineup look deep. You know, that would make that lineup look deep. The young kids, all the pressure's off.
Yeah.
You have the vets. Another team that comes to mind, I hate to say it, Houston Astros. Even though they have Jordan Alvarez, you know, I could see them getting him. Or, I could see a team like Seattle jumping in for Marcell Ozuna.
Interesting.
Pair with the young kids, kind of do what they do with Nelson Cruz and Robbie Cano. Um, yeah, there's not many
Like,
choices here.
I mean, you look at there's a lot of teams that A, don't have room for him, or B, don't have money for him. Right?
Yeah.
There's those teams that you mentioned that could.
Detroit will probably end up with like an Edwin. I would say. I think I can see
Yeah.
Edwin going to Detroit.
Well, Edwin's gonna obviously sign another deal. He's so close to 500 home runs. I think
Yeah.
he wants to pass that
Or
milestone.
Baltimore.
Yeah, Baltimore.
I mean, they've done this with a lot of Vlad Guerrero went there at the tail end of his career. And,
Yep.
we've seen Nelson Cruz when we thought that like Nelson Cruz's career is starting to slow.
He rose the
He
Twins
went-
and mashes.
No, he went to Baltimore.
Oh,
He went to
that's right. That's
Baltimore,
right.
Yeah,
He did.
and mashed, and that's what set him as, aside from Big Poppy, the best DH in the game.
Yeah.
And I could see Baltimore giving him like a 3-year, or sorry, 1 year, $3
Yeah,
million deal.
yeah.
Not 3 year. Yeah,
Yeah.
1 year, $3 million or something. A team
yeah.
like that.
Let's talk about a very weird, odd situation again with Mickey Callaway,
Yep.
the former general manager. Not general manager, former manager of the Mets, who is now the pitching coach with the Los Angeles Angels. A story came out last night. 5 women who were reporters with the Mets accused him of sexual harassment. It was just very disgusting to read some of the stuff that I read in that article, like inviting a girl out to drinks to give her info on the team, and like sending shirtless photos to him. And
Yeah.
it was just very odd from a guy in power with the Mets. I mean, we talked about last week with Jared Porter and all the stuff he got accused when he was at the Mets, and he got fired the next morning. But the Angels couldn't fire him because he denied the accusations. So they're kind of doing an investigation, kind of would have been against the law to fire him. What was your take on this whole thing?
Well, yeah, he got suspended this morning.
Yeah.
I expected a firing, but I didn't really think about the whole,
Yeah.
if he denies it, we have to do an investigation. I would assume the investigation will be done by this week. They need to get another pitching coach if, at the end of the
training's
day.
at 2 weeks. Like,
Yeah. So, with that being said, there's no other way to. I think he just had a power trip. I think
Yeah.
that he knew maybe he wasn't untouchable in the position that he was in, and or felt that he was untouchable, I should say.
Yeah.
Um, and this guy he's married, um, and he said he was separated from his wife. The only thing that I can think of, maybe, this isn't. Let me. I'm not saying that his actions were right, but I wouldn't put his actions on the same spectrum as Jared Porter.
Oh, 100%. No.
Um,
It was a lot less worse than that.
no, and they're still disgusting. They're still wrongful.
Yeah.
And no sin is worse than the other. At the end of the day, but um, I would say that uh, based off of what he said, and he says this was all consensual, and I'm just playing devil's advocate here.
Yep.
I
Yep.
don't
Yep.
think this is true, but I'm just saying, just to clarify what I'm saying
Hmm.
is maybe this guy he said he was separated from his wife. He was lonely. He was looking for a companion, and by doing that, he took it way too far.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't know what his life is. I don't know him, or if
Yeah.
he's back
Yeah.
with his wife or whatever it is. Um, we haven't a story hasn't came out with him with the Angels yet.
True.
So what in my head, I'm kind of trying to play devil's advocate of maybe he got back with his wife, and that was that was the end of him trying to flirt with people. I doubt it. I do doubt it.
Like it.
I'm just trying to give this guy
The benefit of
try
the
to go.
doubt,
I'm
I
trying to
guess.
just get into his. I'm trying to go into his head
Yeah.
and see how this could have happened. At the end of the day, I think he was just he was trying to get girls, and he was a man of power, and he tried to use that power to his advantage, and it backfired in
It's
his
just like
face.
some of the stuff, like putting his groin in a girl's face. It's just like a bunch
Yeah.
of inappropriate stuff that he did. I think he gets fired within, if not tomorrow, the day after.
No,
By
he
the
deserves to
Angels.
be fired. I
He
mean,
deserves to be
let's just
fired.
clarify that.
Yeah, like that. You can't be having that. I mean, it's bad PR for the Mets. It's bad PR for the Angels. If they didn't fire him this morning, and they're already taking heat on social media for not firing him today. But
Yeah.
I mean, it would be against the law to fire him because he denied the
Well, yeah. I
accusation.
mean, if they fire him, they also still have to pay his contract.
True. So
So they're like, hey, we're not. Let's do this investigation. We got to get out of this money as well. I would think from a business standpoint, even though that's people don't like to hear that. It's the
that's
truth of the matter. So
So
um,
we'll wrap up Mickey Callaway. We'll stick with the Mets here for a second. The Blue Jays pick up Steven Matz in a trade with the Mets. They send Sean Reed Foley and a couple low tier prospects for him. Matz, similar to Robbie Ray, guy that's got good stuff from the left side, but he's got his control problems, right? I mean, he's
Yep.
wild. He had a down year. I think him pitching away from home. He's from New York. Maybe that'll take a little pressure off him. Gets a fresh start in Toronto. Not a bad depth pickup for the Jays.
yeah, I mean, it's definitely interesting, and hopefully,
Hopefully,
for Jays fans,
that can't be the
that's
last move. That better not be the last
I would
move.
agree. I would agree with that. They've made a ton of progress towards their goal
Yeah.
of being a competitive team this offseason. I think it would be um,
Like you can't go out and
premature to not explore another pitcher. And there has been a report they're in on Odorizzi, so
yeah.
all signs still point to, hey, we're looking for another rotational piece. You said that they're shopping Tanner Roark. I don't know how much truth there
And
is
they're
into that.
shopping Randall Grichuk and Gurriel too. So it's interesting
Yeah.
to see that Grichuk is getting a lot of. Well, I don't know if it's interesting. He can still hit you 20, 25 homers, but I mean he's got $11 million paycheck attached to him, which is absurd. That's a lot of money to take on if you're a team taking on Grichuk. But I mean his defense was a little better this past year in center field. It's not great, but I mean, he's still a good right-handed bat to get if you need one. Like the Jays, if I'm the Jays, you got to go out and get either Walker, Paxton, or Rizzy. Mats cannot be the answer for your number 3 starter, 4 starter, right? So
Well, at the end of the day, the thing is, there's a lot of teams that also need
they're in the same
Paxton,
boat. Yeah, there's
Odorizzi,
a
and
lot in the
Walker.
same boat,
Yeah.
100%.
So there is a market for these pitchers. There's definitely
there's going to be a bidding war for all three of those guys.
And
I
some
don't know
guys
much for
probably are
Walker,
going to get
but
overpaid.
yeah, I could see
once
a team.
it goes once Paxton and Odorizzi are off the board.
So
then it goes to Walker.
You look at Paxton, he's probably going to get what, $12 million? 13 maybe?
Honestly, wouldn't be surprised if he got a 15.
You think? Like a 3-year 45?
I think a desperate team would go that far. A team like the Angels would go that far, I would say.
Ooh, what do you think about that? Like what's like your thoughts on his injury history? Like, would you be comfortable giving a 3-year deal?
I mean, if you're gonna roll the dice, you're gonna roll the dice. You can't,
He's got great stuff when he's healthy. There's no denying it, but man,
I mean, the way he was in Seattle a couple of years back,
he was
even with the
out.
Yankees,
he threw a no-hitter against the damn Jays, for Christ's sakes. Like, he's good.
And even with the Yankees, I mean, he was, other than this past year, he was still electric. So, it's just keeping him on the field. Teams that are planning to have a 6-man rotation, maybe that's the fit for him.
Yeah, I think the domino will be obviously first Paxton or Odorizzi, and then we'll go to Walker, and then so on and so forth down.
Then Arrieta. I mean,
yeah.
Maybe Arrieta gets signed sooner because he just had a
bullpen.
Yeah, and which apparently he looked really good. Yeah. So, but I feel like every time a pitcher throws a bullpen in front of scouts, they always say they look very good.
They look good, yeah.
Yeah. So not sure what Arrieta is gonna look like this year. Hopefully he bounces back. I think the game's better when he's a competitor. He's fun to watch. So
him and Kirby Yates kind of got similar procedures. They got bone spurs removed from their elbow, so it'd be interesting to see what happens with those two guys. That'll wrap up the Blue Jays talk. Let's talk about Brad Hand, a guy who was put on waivers last year and could have got picked up by any team in baseball for $10 million. Nobody picks him up, and he ends up signing for 10.5 with Washington. Are you surprised that every single team passed on him at $10 million?
Yeah.
With how much he ended up getting, right?
You would think the Phillies would claim him. You would think that, they're, but also at the same point, maybe teams are like, hey, if maybe we can get him for a cheaper price. And maybe Washington was just like, no, we think you're worth the $10 million. We just needed to see what our direction was. It was too early in the offseason when we didn't know what our plan was. Mm-hmm. And we circled back around and we're giving you the $500,000 more pay raise, which at the end of the day, chump change for these owners. So
man, Washington has had a sneaky good offseason.
Yeah, I think they
with what they have, what they have to work with, I like it. They bring in Hand, they bring in Kyle Schwarber.
I still think they're better than the Mets. I still think they're better than the Phillies.
You would have them ahead of the Mets?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. No, the Mets.
If Scherzer, Strasburg, and Corbin are healthy.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, 100%.
I don't know. It's close. That whole division was close the whole year. And the Phillies, they need pitching to compete. So the Braves are still number one in my eyes. They added Charlie Morton, which I think is going to be one of the most underrated signings.
Oh, yeah, for sure. 100%.
And I think nobody's talking about that. So, and I don't think the Braves are done. I feel like they're going to maybe sneak in for Odorizzi or, a guy like that. They're going to get a vet. They're going to get a vet. They always get vets.
Alex and Topless, I know all too well. This guy is sneaky. Like whenever you're not expecting it, he goes out and makes a splash. So I
think the most interesting free agent pitcher that's not a premier arm, or I would say a, top tier arm on the market, you'd say, is Cole Hamels, who didn't pitch last year.
Yeah.
He only pitched one game or whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
Cole Hamels, I think, might be the steal of the offseason.
You think, eh? Yeah, no. He, like you said, he didn't pitch last year. He had that shoulder problem.
Just because I feel like our expectations are way too high for Kluber. Kluber's in the running for that too, but I think Cole Hamels.
Kluber's got a lot of pressure because of the price tag that he signed, right? He got $11 million guaranteed, a lot of money for the Yankees.
Let's say you get Cole Hamels at 7.
Yeah.
If you're getting him, even John Lester, he went for 5. I'm not saying Hamels is going to go for 5, but
yeah,
I think Lester is just like, I already have all this money. I really don't care. But if Hamels can get him 7-ish,
mm-hmm.
It could be a steal. Maybe even on a 2-year deal.
I agree.
Roll dice.
Let's talk about Washington's old closer, Sean Doolittle. He goes to Cincinnati, 1 year, $1.5 million contract with incentives.
Yeah.
This is like, where are the Phillies at with this? Like, where are they at with something like this? Like, there's a
I mean,
lot of
Doolittle. I mean, he is declined. He's on the
he's on the
down.
downhill,
But they're
for sure,
relievers. They're relievers, and he's been
but
an all-star.
it's
And
only
he's
1.5 million.
left-handed. So,
Like,
oh
it's
yeah. I
that's
mean,
cheap. Like, any team could have signed him for that. Cincinnati, they lost Raciel Iglesias. So they had some closer experience to that bullpen. I don't really know what Cincinnati's direction is. They're talking about maybe trading Sonny Gray, Luis Castillo. They need a shortstop still, like we talked about in part one. So it'll be interesting to see what Cincinnati does the rest of this offseason.
yeah. I mean, they're just trying to piece a team together. I feel like right now, and it's either they're going to trade Gray or Castillo and get multiple big league pieces and prospects, or they're going to run with that and they're going to add those, under the radar players that Josh Reddick's or there's no maybe Jonathan VR, I guess, at shortstop or something,
Yeah.
They're going to have to do something. I mean,
They're in
I
the
don't
same
know.
boat as Oakland. We were just talking about in part one. They don't really got a shortstop. You don't know who's going to be over there.
Yeah,
And
they got drastically worse.
they did. I mean, we were big Reds fans. I know you were at the start of last season, and
Yeah.
they ended up falling short in the wild card against the Braves. The pitching was good. I mean, they lost Bauer.
Yeah, they're going to lose a Cy Young.
He's still unbelievably not signed. I can't believe that he's not signed yet. I mean, pitchers and catchers report in less than 2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
So you got to think that Bauer is going to be signing this week, no? We've been saying this last 3 weeks, though. So I don't know.
He's working out on his own. I think he's comfortable pushing it back, even if he's not there day one of pitchers and catchers.
You think so? Oh man.
I do.
Oh, that's an interesting take for sure. Let's talk about Eddie Rosario. He's been with the Twins last few years. He signs a 1 year, $8 million deal with the Indians. Your thoughts on that?
The Indians gave him 8. They'll end up paying 4 once they trade him at the deadline. That's my thoughts.
So you think they'll just flip him?
They're gonna flip him, I think, at the deadline if he's having a decent year, even if he's not, and they're gonna end up paying 4 or 5 million of his contract. And to add on to that, they're getting production in their lineup. They won't be. They won't be it. They won't be a playoff.
Oh, never mind. Sorry. I thought they were in the East. Sorry. Yeah, they're in the Central with the White Sox and the Twins. So yeah, they're not going to make the playoffs. So
I mean, we'll see. They do have those young pitchers, but I mean, Carrasco's gone.
Yeah. Lindor's gone. Lindor,
who also gave them some starts.
Yeah.
They got Tristan McKenzie, Plesac, and Bieber at the top.
Yeah.
And that's a good little 3, 2 young guys with a premier Cy Young pitcher.
Yep.
But now let's go into the bullpen. Let's look at the rest of the roster. They lost Carlos Santana, who didn't have a great year, but is still a culture guy there.
They lost Lindor. That's the biggest piece of that team.
Yeah. So really, you have Jose Ramirez and Eddie Rosario.
That's about it.
Yeah. So all I have to say about that is Rosario will be flipped at the deadline. It's a good signing. They're going to they'll get something back for him.
Yeah.
I'll be very surprised to see that he plays the whole season with the Indians.
So Jock Peterson also signs a 1 year deal, $7 million with the Cubs. Like we talked about in part one, he's going to go over to the Cubs and he's going to get a chance to hit against lefties. He's going to get a chance to start. He's not going to just be a platoon player. I like this move for the Cubs. He's an upgrade on Schwarber in left field. They might give the same production at the plate or similar, right? But I don't mind this move for the Cubs at all.
I don't hate it either. I mean, Jock Peterson needs the chance to play every day. And he's either going to sink or swim, but it still will be fun to see. And say he comes out here, he hits 30 bombs, he's looking at a pay raise in 2022. So either way, another thing, Cubs, they're out of it. We're trading Jock. We're going to replenish that farm system.
Yeah.
Kind of the same type of deal, in my opinion. Getting a competitive player that they can trade at the deadline. That's what. Whenever I see a 1-year deal, I'm always looking at, okay, these are guys that can be traded at the deadline to get some prospect capital. You're probably not going to get great prospects because it's only for a couple of months, but
Mm-hmm.
you're going to get a system that's growing slowly but surely. So
So
that's how I feel about this deal.
Jock's set to turn 29, April 21st. So still relatively young, still a good power left-handed bat. The next guy we'll talk about is Trevor Williams. He also goes to the Cubs, 1 year, $2.5 million deal. Crazy bargain, I think, for the Cubs here. They lost Darvish, obviously, so they needed to get a couple arms in there. They lost Quintana. Yeah, that's a good value. I was surprised. I mean,
Yeah.
the Blue Jays are interested in him in the offseason, or last offseason, I should say. There was a couple other teams interested in him, but I was surprised he only got $2.5 million.
Yeah, I mean, he's coming off a down year. I think the thing with him is he's just not consistent. He'll have days where he looks great and then days he gets hit around. So now they're gonna get a bounce back candidate, and I mean, we'll see what happens. I mean,
Yeah.
there's another guy that they could trade at the deadline if they need to. I don't know if Chris Bryant will be on on the Cubs roster come opening day. That's the biggest question of the offseason right now. If they have Chris Bryant, then maybe the season looks a little bit different. If they don't, then we know which way they're going.
So a couple days ago, we were talking on FaceTime, and you were saying, I got a feeling the Angels might make a trade. I'm going to wake up tomorrow, and there's going to be a trade. You weren't expecting to see Alex Cobb going to the Angels. I know that. What's your thoughts on the Angels getting Alex Cobb?
Um, after taking a step back, and diving deeper, this is a Dylan Buddy 2.0 situation. Okay.
Yep.
Bigger ballpark. Okay. In hopes to, obviously they don't have a pitch. They're not going to have a pitching coach anymore. So the pitching coach that helped out Bundy isn't going to be there, but hey, maybe we can take some of the stuff that Callaway taught, give it to Cobb. Cobb is when he's healthy, he's a very consistent pitcher.
Yep.
Like I said, he's going from Baltimore, Camden Yards to Angel Stadium, which are completely different ballparks.
Yep.
And at the end of the day, he's been injured the past couple of years, but they aren't paying his full 15. Which when it first came out, he's getting paid 15 million. The Orioles are paying
10.
over half.
Yeah.
So they're gonna get him about $5 million.
Yeah.
Which the way the starting pitcher market, we're gonna get to this guy in a second. Archer to the Rays for 6.5. Well, you're getting Cobb for 5. So and they're in similar positions, I would say. So it's not a terrible move, but it's not the ace they need. It's just more depth, and we'll see what happens. They say they're still in on more starters, which means I'm thinking they're going to trade Heaney, or they're going to trade Canning or something, because at the end of the day, you have Quintana, you have Heaney, Bundy, and now Cobb. All 4 of those guys are free agents.
Yeah.
2022.
I don't know what
So you only have
is.
Ohtani and Canning in your rotation. And below that, you have
Next
Sandoval,
year.
Barria.
Yeah.
Next year. Then you have Sandoval, Barria, Reed Detmers, who's our the Angels' top pitching prospect, I should say, and Pena that can start, Dylan Peters that can start. No guys that are going to jump out at you. Okay?
So just a preference, Dylan wanted Trevor Bauer and got Alex Cobb. So
I want the Angels to trade for Kyle Hendricks.
Yeah, you do want Hendricks a lot, right?
Or Sonny Gray. I would be fine with Sonny Gray.
So when you look at Alex Cobb, though, like in 2020, his batting average against with the splitter was 180. Like that, it seems like he found that splitter. So that's a good sign for the Angels, I guess. But like
I said, once I took a step back,
when he's healthy, though, he's a solid like 3.5, 3.7 ERA guy, right? I mean, you'll take that.
The problem is we have plenty of
you have a lot of 3-4 starters.
Yeah.
You don't have that top of the line guy. I mean, if Ohtani is Ohtani, you have a true ace. right? But there's a lot of question
There's-
marks with that.
You can't pencil that in.
No,
You
I mean,
can't.
you can pencil it in, but you can't put it on a pen.
Now, if you get Kyle Hendricks and Otani comes back and is the rookie of the year, Otani,
That's an
they're
unbelievable.
winning the
rotation.
division.
That's
I will tell you that
100% a good rotation.
they are winning the division with that. That's
Yeah.
a big if.
You're probably
Okay?
right. You're probably right.
I think even if they get Kyle Hendricks and Otani sucks this year, they're still winning the division. That would be because Oakland got way worse.
Houston.
Astros lost Springer, and they have some rotation that pieces that they need to fill in. Verlander's not going to be back by the start of the season, so I think it's between Houston, the Angels, and even a sleeper in Seattle. Okay, Seattle played good ball last year. They have young kids. If they get a Marcell Ozuna and they add a pitcher from somewhere, maybe we're looking at them a little bit different.
Maybe they bring back James Paxton. I don't know. I mean, he was very good in Seattle. Maybe they bring him back. Let's talk about, like you mentioned, Chris Archer. He goes back 1 year, 6.5. And when you look at this trade, probably one of the worst in LB history. They traded Chris Archer for Glasnow, Meadows, and
Shane Baz.
Yeah. And now they got Archer back. So the Pirates are left with nothing from that trade.
Yep.
Just a disaster trade.
Different GM though.
Different GM. Yeah, Sherrington. He came up with the Blue Jays. He's got a good track record there. I think he'll do good things in Pittsburgh with the player development. But man, that trade looks really bad. Archer goes back 1 year, 6.5, like I said, where he pitched the best of his career in Tropicana. I mean, he had 3 really good years there. 3.2 ERA, 3.1, 3.3. Maybe a change of scenery, back to some old familiar territory. Maybe this is a sleeper pick for the Rays.
Could be.
It's a lot of money, though. That's a lot of money.
I mean, they've lost Snell and they've replaced it with Michael Wacha. Well, they lost Snell and Morton, I should say.
And Wacha and now Archer.
Wacha and Archer.
Yep.
And I mean, I don't know. We don't think they're gonna be good. Then they're good. They're like the A's.
Yeah. And we've been talking like they don't need a pitcher to go 7 innings. They just need him to go.
No, they don't. They just need him to go 4 or 5.
Yeah. So
with the way they play, so they're still in. I mean, let's look at their offense. Rosarania is gonna get a full year now.
Yeah. So see what he's about.
We gotta see what a Rosarania is about in a full season.
Yep.
You know, if he's a star,
who knows that maybe the playoffs are just a lightning in the bottle. I'm sure he'll like pick up his power, but over a full season, we'll see what he does.
Yeah, he's way too young to predict what he's gonna be.
Yeah.
We have to see him over a full season, see how he does, and then you got Meadows coming back who was hurt.
Yep.
You got
Kiermaier in center.
Kiermaier. They're still looking decent. They could add like a first base piece.
G-Man Choi is at first, buddy.
Yeah, but I could see them. Did they bring back Zunino or they traded?
They brought back Zunino. Yep, they brought back Zunino. Yep, he's their catcher.
Yeah, I mean, Adames at short. I mean, there's still
like Ozuna would make sense. I don't know if they'll give him the money.
Nelson Cruz would make sense.
I predicted that in our free agency predictions episode. Like that would be a really good fit if it doesn't work out for the Mets for sure.
Yeah, I think Tampa has some things up their sleeve. I wouldn't be surprised if they still added something before we're done here.
Yeah.
Especially like I don't know. I thought they would be good for like Carlos Santana, who went to the Royals. But a guy like that, nothing that's gonna be like a superstar move, but something that's gonna be impactful.
And we'll just talk about some other players that signed around the league. Carlos Rendon went back to the White Sox. Delino DeShields went to Texas. Steven Souza Jr. to Houston, and Hanser Alberto went to the Royals. We'll end the episode talking about a couple guys who just recently retired. Daniel Murphy, big playoff performer with the Mets, big part of that World Series team. Not a World Series winning team, but that went in 2015. He hangs him up. What a great career he had with the Mets and the Rockies. What did you think of his career?
Yeah, and the Nats. Don't forget those
the
Nats.
Sorry, I forgot about the Nats too. Sorry.
I think it was a great career. He's a professional hitter.
Yeah.
You know, He got that.
Consistency at its finest.
Yeah,
Consistency.
after that playoff run with the Mets, he became a next level player with the
Oh yeah,
Nationals.
100%.
And he was part of some great playoff teams there that just couldn't get over the hump.
Mhm.
But he also, I think it shouldn't go unnoticed that he also was part of the Players Association as far as like a player rep.
Yep.
He seemed to always be a leader in his clubhouses. And he was willing to take on that responsibility for his team. Each team has a player rep, and I believe Daniel Murphy was the player rep for both the Rockies and the Nationals. Not sure
Yep.
about the Mets.
Yeah.
So I think that shouldn't go unnoticed.
Mhm.
Like you said, professional hitter, consistent, a guy you want on your team. So hats off to him, and what a great career.
Dustin Pedroia ends up retiring. He hasn't played in the last
Yep.
couple of years. He officially retired this week. A guy that just played a lot of emotion, a lot of heart, wore his heart on his sleeve, gave it everything he's got every single game he is out there. A guy that terrorized the Blue Jays, so I'm kind of glad he's retired. He was a Blue Jay killer his whole career, but man, what a great career this guy, major leader in that clubhouse, and he's going to be missed by the Red Sox for sure.
Yeah. This one sucks.
Yeah,
Obviously it
does.
sucks when Jeter retires. It sucks when Poppy retires. It's
It
gonna
just
suck when
sucks that he couldn't go out on his own. Like he couldn't
Yeah.
he was hurt for the last 2 years, so he couldn't really have that farewell tour, couldn't really like leave it all out there and then
Yeah.
hang him up. So that's kind of tough, but yeah,
Yeah.
heck of a
Where
career.
I was going with that is just, as a young guy, I'm about to be 23 this weekend.
Yeah.
And all the players that you grew up watching, they're starting to go.
I know.
And
It's crazy.
I think that's just
It's sad.
it's different being a baseball fan as a kid and being a baseball fan as an adult. And when those childhood names start to, luckily, I still got Trout for another 10 years.
Yeah.
But like everything in between, even when you're a teenager and stuff, I think it's just it makes you put it into perspective of like, dang, like I watched this guy when I was 10 years old, and now he's gone.
You wish they could play forever. Like I'm gonna be dealing with that in the NHL. Like growing up watching Crosby and stuff, and this guy they still call him Sid the Kid. He's 35. He's gonna be retired in like 5 years. It's crazy to think that athletes you grew up watching come to an end, right? Their careers eventually have to come to an end. What a great career by those two guys. What a jam-packed 2-part episode this was.
Yep.
A lot to talk about. Maybe we're doing another emergency episode if Trevor Bauer or somebody signs, but we'll keep you guys updated on that, and appreciate you guys for listening to every episode.
All right, thanks guys. Take care.